The Metaverse Emerges. Loot is changing the game. Yield farming on Layer 2 and Solana, and what's after NFTs. All of this and more on. I'm Luke, and this is TLDR, where we catch you up on all the headlines and important narratives from Bankless this week. As always, there are going to be links in the show notes so you can do a deeper dive into any of these topics. And before we get started, I want to quickly shout out SoRare, which is DeFi's biggest platform for collecting, trading, and playing fantasy soccer. They have a polished front end, and if you're a Top Shots person or a fantasy sports person, well, this is the app for you. So check it out, and the link in the show notes to get started. So Raoul Pal returned to the podcast this week, and it's been really cool to see Raoul go deeper down the rabbit hole. And he really gets what makes Ethereum and DeFi an incredibly exciting asset class. And as we move into mania season, it gets really easy to get caught up in tiny details and the micro ebbs and flows of market sentiment. Every release, every piece of news, it's also stimulating and can definitely be overwhelming. David and Eric Connor call this Ethereum brain and talk about it in depth in this week's Layer 0 episode, so definitely catch that if you didn't. But Raoul circumvents Ethereum brain by staying zoomed out. It is his job, after all, as a big macro trader. In the end, ETH is the greatest trade, and the thesis is simple, really.
ETH is clearly money, but ETH is technology. We know that too. ETH is also a platform of which people are building a lot of different applications. So whether we talk about community tokens, NFTs, DeFi, a whole bunch of stuff. You know, I came out with a piece in Global Macro Investor last month called The Greatest Trade. And, you know, here's my macro head on again is, okay, we've got this adoption that is kind of exponential, right? It's growing at least twice the rate of Bitcoin. And it's by far dwarfing the rest of the space. Then the EIP 1559 comes along and that reduces the supply. So that's clearly bullish for the price. And then when you look at the on-chain analytics, and everyone is bloody staking it because now it's a pretty clear run between now and ETH 2.0. So why would you not if you're a long-term holder? So everybody's staking it. So that's taken a ton of stuff off the exchange. There's tons that have gone into just holding, tons that are locked up in DeFi, tons that are locked up in NFTs, and you're left with, I don't know, as of today, 11% of the entire supply of Ethereum available, and it's going down every day. And the demand is going exponential. The only outcome is an exponential rise in price. There's no other outcome.
Technology always wins, and adoption happens on an exponential scale. Ethereum is positioned as the most salient technology in the space, with the most developed ecosystem, with the most fundamental momentum. For me, this episode was like insanely calming, especially as I've been like FOMOing super hard about NFTs. In our Market Monday, David asks the question, what's after NFTs? And I think that the answers to this question really tie up what the rest of the week was about. First, NFTs are definitely here to stay, but it's far more uncertain how much longer this mania, this craze is going to last. Market Monday usually talks about what is immediately next, but I think this also asks a bigger question. Like, what have NFTs unlocked for us? What can we build next? And I think the answers to these questions may just be the same thing. So first, NFTs unlock social media for Web3. In relevant news, Twitter is apparently adding Bitcoin payments, while AAVE is looking to build its own social media ecosystem. If you're paying attention, you'll notice that the crypto social movement is catalyzing. Social media is a huge part of that. I wonder if trying to pick winners for platforms and protocols even makes sense here, though. Maybe it's bigger than that. Maybe the metaverse offers enough freedom and scope and scale that the whole of Web3 becomes one big platform that combines social media, finance, value, information. And it's a bit early to predict the exact nature of these things, but I think it's time to think big. It's time to dream about the world that we want to build. And our tactic this week focuses on ENS names and how you can use .com URLs as an ETH address. The fluidity and composability of this ecosystem is just starting to peek through the clouds, and this will be an early example of self-sovereign, interoperable technology that improves the user and community experience of engaging with the internet. Another thing coming after NFTs is perhaps a resurgence in yield farming. With the Arbitrum rollup scaling solution launching to mainnet this week, we expect to see a massive capital flow into Layer 2, and probably incentives to do so. So maybe Layer 2 summer coming this fall? We'll see. And also, Layer 2 Ethereum isn't the only place we'll be looking for opportunities. Staff writer Ben covers other Layer 1 platforms in the Guide to Multi-Chain Yield Farming. We live in a multi-chain world, and we'd be wrong to totally ignore the things happening in that multi-chain world. Ben covers Avalanche, Solana, and Terra, and some pretty interesting opportunities there. We also did a deep dive into Solana's value proposition with Santiago and Constantine in a panel this week, and it's interesting. It left me with a lot of question marks. There's clearly a lot of momentum there, both from the price action side and the ecosystem development side. The values and trade-offs are things to learn about and things to think about. So yeah, watch that panel and keep your mind open. And also remember what's important to you. NFTs also unlock communities. DJ Justin Blau returned to the State of the Nation this week to talk about tokenizing music. We've seen it with visual art, and I think music is just around the corner, especially with things like Audius teaming up with TikTok. Blau's new platform, Royal, aims to turn the business of music into a community experience, blurring the lines between the crowd and the stage, giving supporters the chance to invest and be rewarded for the success of their favorite artists.
For a TikTok star who comes out with a song that's viral, a lot of the time the record label will pledge $10K to take 80% of that song, and that song will probably generate that $10K back in like 4 months. The artist just gets really excited by the money because they've never seen it before. They don't know that, the song actually will generate income from streaming, and they just sign the dotted line. That's like a typical situation. Lots of, successful young people that want to earn income on their capital. Music is an asset class that only private equity and hedge funds and record labels have even had access to, right? So a big part of Royal is democratizing access to music as an asset class.
I think the premise is obvious, but the execution of that is incredibly challenging, and I think that is basically the whole space in a nutshell. Social and DAO tokens are heating up in a big way, and yeah, crypto culture is taking off, and soon it will just be culture, maybe. If this episode of TLDR feels different than the others, and maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, it's because of David's article, The Metaverse Emerges. It's had my brain in a pretzel for days now, and trying to wrap my head around the concepts and form my own view of it. And the big question, obviously, is what is the metaverse? On the podcast this week, Raoul Pal described it as digital fluidity, and to me, the metaverse is just when society happens digitally, and the current state of the internet is a place where value is represented, but we're watching a new internet emerge where value is natively hosted on it. And this transfer is the fundamental metaversal shift. So the metaverse is a digital-first society, and a society can be boiled down to two fundamental things: economics and culture. And the core of economics is capital, and DeFi is handling that, and the core of culture is identity, or the people. And it seems like NFTs broadly are handling that. I think the metaverse will have fully matured when those two things meet in the middle and become one flourishing ecosystem. And I think that's why Loot has taken off so hard. Its value proposition is the meeting in the middle of culture and value. It's a simple prompt. They give you some fantasy items on the blockchain, and it's a call to action to the community to build a world and a culture and value around that. It's cool, and I've never had so much FOMO in my life. That's basically the final thought. What do you think the metaverse is? It's really tricky to pin it down into a single sentence because it's complicated, it's squishy, it's multifaceted. And I think the best way to think about that is to look forward, see what the world looks like when the technology of the internet is optimized. And we will continue to observe and analyze it and give you our best takes on where we are and where we think it's going. So with that, none of this was financial advice. ETH is risky, DeFi is risky, everything is risky, but we are headed west. It's the frontier, it's not for everyone, and we're glad you're with us on the Bankless journey. And I want to quickly shout out our sponsors, GEMINI, AAVE, Balancer, and UNISWAP. We get to sponsor the building blocks of the metaverse, and it's an honor to do so. So thanks a lot, and see you next time.
Hey, we hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, head over to Bankless HQ right now to develop your crypto investing skills and learn how to free yourself from banks and gain your financial independence. We recommend joining our daily newsletter, podcast, and community as a Bankless Premium subscriber to get the most out of your Bankless experience. You'll get access to our market analysis, our alpha leaks, and exclusive content, and even the Bankless token for airdrops, raffles, and unlocks. If you're interested in crypto, the Bankless community is where you want to be. Click the link in the description to become a Bankless Premium subscriber today. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for in-depth interviews with industry leaders, Ask Me Anythings, and weekly roll-ups where we summarize the week in crypto and other fantastic content. Thanks everyone for watching and being on the journey as we build out the Bankless Nation.